And we are officially live. Hello to all my BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to a quaint, nice afternoon review. Here we are back here with another episode of Dual Dynasty, our WWE post-show breakdown review, whatever you want to call it, here at BC WrestlePod. Of course, I am Mikey El Jefe of BC WrestlePod, and joining me this morning is the ever enthused and energetic Kiltman. The Pleat Father is in the house.
Whoa.
Whoa. We're going to keep it really brief because Kilt has had a very, very fun, but a very tiring last 24, 48 hours. So we're going to get this man back to bed as quickly as possible. But we wanted to go over some of, the three topics we have for Raw and SmackDown. And then we will also be doing our predictions for Survivor Series, which is this Saturday. Kilt is going to be running the watch along. I will be there live. So it's we're going to have all fronts covered. So it's going to be fun. But really quickly, before we get into the Raw and the SmackDown of things, if you are new here to BC WrestlePod and you like what you see, well, I mean, to be fair, it is great. Make sure that you follow us on YouTube, Twitch, or Kick. You can also follow us all over the social medias at BC WrestlePod. And we have some merchandise available at our shop, bcwrestlepodshop.fourthwall.com. But before we get started into everything, we do have one of our other co-hosts who is waiting to join us. So enjoy this 10-second little dance break as I get everyone situated. So BRB. So enjoy all that while we can.
Yeah. Here we go.
There we go. Now we got a full squad.
Good squad.
Hi, Minnie. I feel like it's been forever since we've seen you.
SmackDown earlier. A couple weeks ago.
That's very, very true. Anywho, we're happy to have you here, Minnie. We're going to keep things brief. We got Raw and SmackDown, 3 things to talk about for each, and then we are doing our predictions for Survivor Series. I can't wait. This is going to be fun. I get to be there live, so that's going to be nuts.
So is my friend that's taking me to Raw. She's going Survivor Series, coming back, and we're going to Raw right after that.
Heck yeah. So we'll make sure
again, so I'm going to yell at more wrestlers.
Hell yeah. Amazing. Oh, boy. So let's just get into it. So we're going to kick things off with Raw. So we got 3 topics to talk about. And I dare say, Raw and SmackDown, I'm very proud of y'all. Y'all were pretty good, decent. You were pretty good this week, and I appreciate it. But, we'll get into all of that. So we're going to start things off with Raw. Of course, the first topic we're going to talk about is John Cena's final Raw appearance, which was this past week. So John Cena's final Raw appearance on Netflix, obviously. Of course, we knew that it wasn't just going to be, hey, I appreciate y'all. It wasn't going to be a reflective goodbye, because what's the point? Because it erupted into a multi-layer collision between generations. Cena's emotional promo was interrupted by Dominic Mysterio, who demanded his Intercontinental title rematch at Survivor Series, a challenge accepted by Cena. So I was like, oh, so that match is happening, so that should be fun. But the moment that Cena tried to announce a match tonight, what was going to happen, the Judgment Day pounced with the 3-on-1 beatdown, which then saw, the arrival of Sheamus and then Rey Mysterio coming in. And then we ended up getting an impromptu 6-man tag, which, that followed, which, of course, gave Cena one more classic Super Cena here, comeback moment with, attitude adjustment to seal the win. So to me, this felt like more of, a symbolic bridge between the eras. Cena's here, final Raw. Rey is still going to be wrestling until he's like 80 at this point. And Dominic continuing to elevate himself to be a bigger star. And Sheamus getting another Madison Square Garden moment, though I am very, very sad because he's not medically cleared to compete in the tournament. So he's going to be replaced on SmackDown. Boo. Anyways, so boys,
a dope return.
My first question to all of you. That is very, very true as well. But boys, my first question in terms of Cena's retirement, how do we feel about Dominic being one of the few people to get final matches from Cena? Do you think that Dom is the right guy to inherit that heat, or should have someone else been in that spot that Dom is currently in? Kilt, I'm gonna start with you. So yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, Dom's fine. He did, like, when Dom first started out, he did have a couple, I think only one big match with Cena at one point. I don't remember all the details, but the one who should get the absolute last match, and I will say this forever and a day, is obviously Ron Killings, R-Truth.
I mean, to be fair, that would be a lot of fun, but given of where the trajectory is going, I'm gonna, you know what? I'll just say it now because the person who's gonna end up getting this final match is going to be facing Cena at Saturday night's main event. And yesterday I talked about this with two new friends of ours. I jumped on their podcast yesterday, so that was a lot of fun. But honestly, looking at who's left, I was like, I think the final match should, and who I would love to see, either LA Knight or Carmelo Hayes. Those are the two I'm currently rooting for. But then, of course, I see Jay and Gunther on the opposite side of the bracket. I'm like, I swear to God, WWE, don't give me a Jay and Gunther finals because neither one of them needs to face Cena. Because I'm also thinking Cena's probably going to put the IC belt on the line. So, but yeah, Ron Killings, R-Truth would have been great. But sadly, it is not to be. Minnie, same question to you. How do we feel about Dom being one of the few guys to get the last couple of matches from Cena? Do you think that's the right call, or should somebody else have been in that spot?
I love Dom getting it. I think Dom is incredible and he's awesome. I've been nothing but hype for Dom since he turned heel. And then when he turned heel again while being a heel. No, it's awesome. But I think the only other person that we would love to see come back for this tournament would be Edge. But I've heard reports that WWE hasn't even approached AEW on letting him use him. So I don't know. I would love to see Adam Copeland come back for a little bit, one last run versus Cena. But other than that, like, I just don't want to see, as much as I was talking to this with a friend of mine the other day. I love Gunther. I don't think Gunther needs to face Cena. I don't think Jay needs to face Cena. They don't need that kind of push. Mello would explode with that kind of push. I also would have loved to see Dolph or Zack Ryder when they return.
Right?
A little bit more of a thing with Cena there. But let's see who comes back with Sheamus, because Sheamus isn't participating. So we'll see what happens.
Very true, because now that Sheamus is no longer medically clear to compete, we have a mystery opponent for LA Knight on SmackDown this Friday. So we shall see who it is. But yeah, so I already stated my claim. I think Mello and LA Knight are my picks. Now, Sheamus was my pick going into this because I'm like, give this man the IC belt finally so he could become a Grand Slam champion. And my conspiracy theories is I honestly think Sheamus was going to be the one to make it all the way to Saturday night's main event. But now that he can't compete no more, I want to see Mello or LA Knight go there because I think that rub would be great, especially for Mello. He's at the top. And then my dark horse pick was just like Penta would be amazing too. But, him and Rey Fenix are about to face Dominic and El Grande Americano Latte in December in AAA. So they reunited the Lucha Bros in Mexico, and it was grand. So moving on to the second topic for Raw, which, is all the chaos that we saw on Raw this week for the women's division. And this was a kind of chaotic night for the women's division. First and foremost, we had Nikki Bella continuing her destructive, almost unhinged vendetta against Stephanie Vaquer. Nikki attacked her on stage before issuing a title challenge, which, of course, was made official later in the evening. It would be Stephanie versus Nikki for Stephanie's title at Survivor Series. Meanwhile, Alexa Bliss delivered an emotionally, raw promo on being abandoned by Charlotte Flair, and then which prompted, the Kabuki Warriors and the rest of the heels for the Survivor Series War Games team to attack. And then Rhea and Io were here, but Charlotte returned with the kendo stick to save Alexa. So that set up that was like, oh, Charlotte's not in this match. And now she's back in this match. And we'll get to SmackDown with all of that. But then came the pleasant surprise and the shock of the night, though, for those of us who have been watching Raw, it was like, oh, yeah, this is the foregone conclusion, but it was still fun to watch. Maxine Dupree defeating Becky Lynch to win the Women's Intercontinental Championship thanks to AJ Lee's return again. And yeah, the story immediately sprawled outward. Friendship betrayals, new alliances, veterans returning, title changes, all within the span of the 30-minute time period that we got on Raw. So my second question, and we're going to focus on Maxine because I think that's the funnest part of all this. Do we like Maxine winning the title from Becky Lynch? And secondary question to you boys, who would you like to see Maxine feud with first? Minnie, I'm going to come to you first. How do you feel about Maxine as our new IC champion? And who would you like to see her feud first with this new championship?
I like it. I like seeing Maxine Dupree. We watched kind of her evolution for the past year and a half, 2 years of doing everything that she's doing. She's done a really good job training and coming up. So I'm really, really happy to see her get something. And I hope her title run is good. I hope it's not just a transitional champion. I hope there's something they have planned for her. Now, I would love to see an NXT star come up and be her first rival. Somebody in the veins of Sol Ruka. Or somebody like that to come up and be the first challenge for Maxine Dupree.
I would love Sol Ruka. That would be a lot of fun. Hopefully that might be the case, but we'll see how long they decide to have Sol and Zarya feud because that breakup is coming shortly. Kilt, same question to you. How do we feel about Maxine winning the IC champion, and who would you like to see feud with Maxine in her first feud and defense of the title?
I absolutely love Maxine getting this opportunity. It's very, very amazing. It is great. I think she deserves it. She's worked really, really hard. Especially with Otis behind her and the entire Alpha Babe team. It's been to really answer who I want to see rival her or go into a rivalry with her. There's a lot of people on the roster. Minnie mentioned Sol Ruka, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I don't like it per se. Only because I just think those are basically almost the same thing. Not really personality or character wise fully, but I think that there's no real connection with that rivalry for me, at least. I do agree. Maybe an NXT star coming up should maybe have someone from Fatal Attraction, I think it was, or maybe
like a Fallon Henley or a Lainey Reed, kind of.
Have one of them, or have potentially, depending on how long they decide to keep her as the champ, have Tatum Tot out there, or get Bailey up there, or even have Lyra Valkyria try again. I think you have a lot of good opportunity here, and I think it'd be fun to watch all of it go down.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you. She deserves a long reign, not just a transitional. I don't want another tater tot situation where it's 3 weeks later you get betrayed and now someone else has the title.
Yeah, so I'm very interested to see how that develops for NXT. I mean, we have to get through Gold Rush week 2 this week, which I'm not looking forward to because the championship matches should be fun. But I agree with you, Kill. I think long term, maybe a long-term feud for Maxine would be to go up against Lyra. And actually, I would put this into a program with Maxine, Lyra, and Bailey. So the three of them could fight over it long-term. I think for first feud, for me personally, and for a short-term one, to kind of get that history in and somebody who, she's worked with before. I actually, for a first title defense and a first miniature feud before going into a long-term, I would actually like to see Maxine feud with Ivy. I think Ivy Nile and Maxine having a feud would be kind of fun. Again, they have history there together, and it would also get Ivy back on my TV screen.
I do agree. I almost completely forgot about Honey Mustard's sister because she hasn't been anywhere. And so, yeah, I think that would be a great opportunity. Definitely.
But long term, I would like to see Lyra and Maxine fight for it, because now that Becky is no longer IC champion, the stipulation that Lyra had to take when she lost to Becky at SummerSlam no longer applies because Becky is no longer IC champion. So, but congratulations to Maxine Dupree. I'm really excited and I'm really happy for her. The girl works hard. She seems to be a very sweet person. And you know what? I'm looking forward to her title reign as Intercontinental Champion. And also, shout out to Bex, too. Becky Lynch is always putting women over, and this is not the first time that she has done it. She done it with Lyra back in NXT. She also did it with Tiffany Stratton at No Mercy when they were in NXT, too. So, shout out to Bex. Love her. Fantastic. We're going to talk about her a little bit when we get to SmackDown. But the final thing we're going to talk about Raw, is this War Games thing with the men's side, at least. I'm gonna be completely honest. You know what? I'll wait for my feelings. Let's get into this really quickly. So the men's side of things kind of exploded as we have Punk, Cody, the Usos. The brawl breaks out, but then Brock Lesnar storming in to destroy Punk and Rhodes. Roman Reigns finally makes his 15,000th reappearance. Madison Square Garden, the pop, the crowd was crazy. Roman Reigns spearing Bronson Reed through the barricade, as well as some New York police officers. I'm gonna be so for real. I was okay with this. I was just like, okay, this is fine. But my question to you boys, because again, we solidified the men's team and then they went at it again on SmackDown, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But my question to you boys is, with Reigns and Lesnar entering War Games at this particular moment, are we excited for this men's War Game match? Or do you think there could have been some other people to finalize these men's War Games teams? Kilt, I'm going to start with you first. Reigns and Lesnar kind of round out the teams. Are you excited for this men's match, or do you feel like somebody else should have been in certain spots? And who is my question?
It is literally a repeat of last year. The only difference is instead of Sami Zayn, it's Cody Rhodes. And instead of Solo's version of the Bloodline, you have Paul Heyman's knockoff. It's and featuring Brock Lesnar. None of it's good. This is so boring. I don't want to watch the Usos, and as much as I enjoy Roman Reigns coming back, I honestly don't see this being on anywhere near the top of my list of great matches for the night. It's just there, as far as I'm concerned. Honestly, I would have loved to see something with a Grande Americano and whatever the two people that they the Pete Dunne, whatever the other guy's name, wrestling name is. I would have loved to see something like that, like with Rey Fenix, Penta, Rey Mysterio, and maybe like two other lucha with the Grande Americanos Dom, and maybe like one other heel character that added to it, I think that would have been a whole lot better and a whole lot cooler. But other than that, that's really all I have right now.
Alrighty. Same question to you, Minnie. Are you looking forward to this men's War Games match? And do you or do you think somebody else should have been in these spots?
So it's yes, but not for the reasons you would think. I'm only saying yes because one of my friends is also going to Survivor Series, and she is a massive Roman Reigns fan. This will be her first time seeing him live in person. It's the only reason why I'm excited for it, because I'm excited for her. Other than that, it's what would you expect from a Big Four pay-per-view? Yeah, Roman, Cody, Brock Lesnar. But we all know how we feel about Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see a little bit more push from some of these mid-card belts to have a little bit more of a presence.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it.
Very fair. I mean, am I looking forward to this match? Storyline wise, not really. Will it be a spectacle, especially since I'll be there live? Yeah. But I'm going to be for real. This is at the bottom of my list. So it's just like, it's fine. I can't believe I'm saying this. I would, even though it's on SmackDown and it doesn't have like the quote unquote star power, I actually would have preferred the MFTs versus either the Wyatt Six or the MFTs versus this international coalition now that we have on SmackDown with Sammy, Ray, Shinsuke, and the Motor City Machine Guns. I was like, that has been more interesting to me. But that's neither here nor there.
The most interesting thing for me right now is the fact that the Lucha Bros are coming back for a AAA event versus Dominic.
Bro, like
that's what I'm excited about.
Literally, December is when we're getting that match between the Lucha Bros and Dominic and Grande Americano Latte, which is going to be baller. Cannot wait for that one. And WWE, y'all better put that thing on YouTube so we can watch. Anyways, moving on, though, that takes care of Raw. So let's get into SmackDown. So we can talk about, different things. And wouldn't you know it, the first thing we're going to talk about carries over from Raw, which is, Paul Heyman and, playing this bloodline psychology. So Paul Heyman, cut a promo suggesting that the bloodline was created to keep the Usos from living off Roman Reigns. And, in this promo across the line, even for him, it hit a nerve with, the characters that we saw. And, the OTC chants didn't help the atmosphere. And, this was a weird opening segment. I'm not even going to lie, because Paul Heyman cuts his promo. Logan Paul has things written on his hand, which was hilarious to watch the internet roast him for it.
I didn't even see that. He pulled a rock?
Now, I personally feel he did that on purpose, but even then, I was like, I don't care. It was like people were rocking him on the internet.
He pulled a freaking rock. Crazy. Come on now. That's kind of lame.
So, all to say is that the opening promo was a rehash of Raw, with the exception that we saw Drew McIntyre beat up Cody Rhodes inside of his bus as he is leaving, which then led to the ending. And dare I say, I think this is probably my favorite Cody promo in recent memory, because it was just short and, he just spit facts. So the question is for you boys, did we need a second, part 2 Electra Boogaloo building to this men's War Games match on SmackDown? Or do you think it was fine and, it served its purpose? Minnie, I'm going to come to you first. Did we need a part 2 of what we saw on Raw on SmackDown?
No. We saw it like 4 days ago. We don't need it again.
Fair enough.
Just do something with the other storylines you have. Give them more time. Add another. You could have just put another match there. We're here to watch, it's wrestling. What's another match?
Very, very fair. All right. Kilt, same question to you. Did we need part 2 Electric Boogaloo on SmackDown?
No, we should have had more development of the women's match. Like, literally, all they have is Rhea yelling out War Games for that match right now. There's nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
It needs more story. here goes classic WWE. We're just going to say something that the women are going to do, and then we're just going to drop them off to the wayside until we feel like doing something with them. Or we're scrambling to make storyline. There's been for everything I see, there's been nothing going on for the women when it comes to the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And they announced that match, a week ago, 2 weeks ago at most? There's nothing there.
Very, very fair. I am in the same agreement. We did not need this part 2. Again, especially because of what we would get at the end where we got like a 5-minute segment with the women to close out the show. We could have like got another match or developed more of the women's, because I care more about this women's war games than I do this men's, but it's neither here nor there. But I do want to move on to something that was actually really good. And I have to say, this episode of SmackDown, even though there weren't that many matches, the matches that we got were really solid. Specifically, Ilya versus JD McForehead, as we call him here. I love JD. I love Ilya. He is great in the United States Open Challenge. And then, you know what? Even though it didn't have a lot of time, I also really enjoyed the Penta and Finn Balor match. So these were the 2 standout matches that kind of gave this week's SmackDown its in-ring identity for the week. Of course, like I said, Ilya and JD, in my opinion, delivered an intense and psychologically rich U.S. title match, from the suplexes to the dramatic counters. And I got listen, like Dragunov's finishing sequence that he does, a torpedo Moscow into a power bomb into the H-bomb, continues to reinforce Ilya for me as a dominant champion who can also absorb unreal punishment. I'm like, this man takes a beating every week, and I love it. I just hope he don't get hurt from it. And then, like I said, later in the show, we got Penta versus Finn. And honestly, this was another match in the last time is now. I mean, it didn't have a lot of time, but you know what? For the time it got, both boys did great. I think it had crisp pacing. There's some nasty strikes, high impact spots. The fact that Penta delivered like a pump handle Penta driver, which was nuts to watch. I was like, Penta is starting to pull out more moves, and I am here for it. And it continues, and hopefully we will finally see a breakup of the Judgment Day that they're continuing to fraction. And Finn Balor once again loses another match. So my question to you, boys, starting with you, Minnie, between Dragunov's title defense and Penta's win over, Finn, which of the 2 matches did you enjoy more and why? So I'm going to start with you.
I love Penta, don't get me wrong, but getting to see Ilya wrestle every week. And like I was there for his first Open Challenge match, seeing wrestle in person. By the way, that dude's massive. I don't know how he got so damn big.
He got yoked. It's insane.
But we get to watch him wrestle every week, which I don't know if that's good for his long-term health, because he always looks like he beats the shit out of himself, or he's just super good at selling it. But I just like watching Ilya wrestle every week.
I do too. Kilt, same question to you, between Finn and Penta and Ilya and JD. Which match did you enjoy the most and why?
I enjoyed both. I really, as we all constantly been echoing, I really wish Ilya would not do so many dangerous looking moves to put his health in jeopardy. Please don't, please. It's great wrestling. Those 2 matches are just great wrestling. I could see more and more. I want to see Finn and the rest of the Judgment Day break up. That'd be great. And JD McFivehead is a phenomenal wrestler. But it's weird that they're using them, but they're not using them. It's kind of all over the place. So.
Yeah. Fair point. So I think I'm in agreement. I enjoyed both matches, but of course I love Penta to death. I've been a Penta fan since Lucha Underground days and AEW, now in WWE. But yeah, I have to give it to Ilya, because I think I'm just happy that he's back. I also do agree. I hope he does slow it down a little bit, because I want him to be okay. And like you brought up, Minnie, like his long term, I want him to be okay, because I want him to, whenever and if he loses this United States Championship within the next couple months, however the tournament pans out, I need my Ilya versus Gunther round 3. That is the match I am waiting for. I'm like, give me my round 3. But anyways, let's move on to the last topic for SmackDown, which is the women's war game stuff, which honestly, I feel like we say this every single year. And Vinny, you can attest to this as being part of the WWE crew at the longest. It's like, I feel like we talk about and we look forward to the women's war games match more than we do the men's matches every year.
I think it's a weird thing. We always say they don't do enough build for the women's war game matches, but I think that's like helps us want more for the women's war game matches. We're like, the reason why we're not as excited for the men's ones, because it's a lot of the same, like 3 or 4 people are always involved, but it's super oversaturated with the amount of build we get for it.
Mm-hmm.
And the women's match gets put on the back burner, so we're like, we want to see that one because we're not seeing enough.
That is very true. And then the women always over deliver, which is fantastic. But speaking on the war games, you know, the women's side of the war games, SmackDown closing angle delivered probably. Well, we all expected it, but it makes me hype for this. Of course, you know, we had Rhea, Io, Charlotte, and Alexa in the ring. You know, we got a segment on Raw, which led into this moment where Rhea officially introduced and announced the 5th member of their War Games team, which is, of course, is AJ Lee, but only to have, you know, the Kabuki Warriors, Nia, and Lash to ambush the team mid-reveal, which then prompted AJ to run down the ring, only to get ambushed by Becky after, you know, AJ interfering on Monday. And Becky officially joins the heel team for War Games. So starting with you, Minnie, with AJ Lee and Becky Lynch now on opposite side of the women's War Games. How do we feel about the final lineup, and which team do you think needs to win this more? So I'm going to start with you. So first question, how do we feel about the final lineup, and which team needs the win more, in your opinion?
If I'm seeing AJ Lee wrestle more, I'm completely fine with it. I'm always here for more AJ Lee. And you're not going to have the team that has Charlotte, Rhea, and AJ Lee on the same team lose.
That's fair.
Like, who's taking the pin?
That is very true.
No offense to this is like super. I'm not saying that the heel team doesn't have some, you know, they got Becky Lynch, they got the Kabuki Warriors, they got some power over there, but like, come on, man. Yeah, Mommy the Queen and everybody's first wrestling crush on one team.
That's very fair, and I'm super excited for it too. And Kilt, same question to you. How do we feel about the final lineup for the women's War Games? And secondary question, which team needs the win the most?
As many put it, it's going to be Rhea's team, because you have all these amazing, you have Charlotte Flair on there. You have, you know, the current wrestling crush, the first wrestling crush. You have, you know, Alexa Bliss on there, which is cute and, you know, fun. And then you have Io Sky, which, god damn. I actually found something hilarious. It was I saw a meme earlier this week. Yeah, it was either yesterday or Friday, that had a picture of Io and Rhea, and a picture of Timeless Tony Storm and I don't remember, and Nina, and then it had a picture of I don't know the guys' names, but it's like this Australian wrestler and a Japanese wrestler, and it's like the caption said Aussie wrestlers and their Japanese lovers.
I
or
think
Japanese or something like that.
In all honesty, it would probably be Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, who are, of course, known as the Golden Lovers.
I think that's what it was. I always forget, because it's like you see Kenny so often. I haven't seen him in a while, so
it's very
honestly, it's definitely going to be Rhea and Charlotte's team, because it's Charlotte Flair. I love the feud between AJ and Becky. That could have been its own thing, and it would have made bank for like half a year.
Mm-hmm.
But you know,
very, very fair. Well, to kind of give my final thoughts on this, I am excited for the women's matches. I mean, I think all the women in this one is a lot of fun. Of course, as one of the two NXT correspondents here, I'm also really excited to see Lash get to be a part of this as well. As her first, she just recently got called up to the main roster like 2.5 weeks ago, and she's getting thrown into War Games, which I love. So I'm excited for Lash. I really, really am. And I agree with both of you. I think you don't have a team of Rhea and Io and AJ and Alexa and Charlotte and not have them win. Because also, I really hope, and I'm like, Io needs to continue the tradition of being Oscar the Grouch and just putting a trash can and jumping off the top of the cage with the trash can. Like, that needs to happen, and I can't wait to see that live.
I like the fact that they've allowed her to be in every single one of these matches.
For reals, even, because they brought it back for NXT and then the main roster took it, but Io has been in every single War Games match since it came back in 2019, I think, something like that. Io is the veteran of the War Games match, and I'm really happy to see that they continue to put her in these matches. Oh man, so I'm excited for the women's one. This should be fun. I know they won't let the women's one main event, but my money is they're probably going to have the women's open it up and then the men are going to close it, but it is what it is at this point. I was just like, whatever. But that's it for the WWE review portion of our show. But now let us get into our predictions. As you know, Survivor Series is this Saturday, which is going to be a lot of fun. Kilt is going to be running the watch along for all of you people watching at home, and I will be covering the ground as I will be there live and in person in San Diego, freezing my butt off in the cold San Diego weather. As of right now, there are only 4 matches announced for Survivor Series, but with 2 go-home shows this week for Raw and SmackDown, who knows if we're going to get 1 more, which, should be a lot of fun. But let's get into this. So first up, we have our Intercontinental Championship match in which we see, Dominic Mysterio trying to get his Intercontinental Championship back from John Cena. And this should be a fun match. I am going to start us off. I am going to have Cena retained because I think whoever wins this tournament and faces Cena at Saturday night's main event will be the one to get the title off of Cena. But I am going with Cena to win here over Dominic. Kilt, who you got for this one?
Oh, obviously Cena. I don't see Dommy Boy getting anything. They might throw it to him. I doubt it. Only if he loses his Triple A title. But
True.
Yeah, he's gonna lose. So Cena's winning.
Sweet. And then Minnie, who you got?
I have Dom winning.
Ooh.
I don't think Cena's gonna have the IC title tied up in the Last Time Is Now tournament. I feel like they gave him the belt so he can be the Grand Slam, have the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
And then he's just gonna drop it and put Dom back over, and Dom is just gonna go back to what he was doing with the AAA and the IC belts.
Very, very fair. And then new friend to us in the chat, Mr. Hassan Gamer, votes for John Cena, which, again, I'm excited to see this live, and this should be a lot of fun. Moving on to the second championship match that we have currently scheduled for Survivor Series is for the Women's World Championship match. Stephanie Vaquer, La Primera, defending her title against, Nikki Bella. I'm going to be completely honest. This is an easy one for me. Stephanie Vaquer is going to retain this championship. Minnie, I come to you first, but I feel like I know this one. Who you got winning the championship here?
Oh, Stephanie.
Easy enough. And then Kilt.
Do you even need to ask? It's La Primera. No one really wanted Nikki back, to be honest with you.
I forget that she is half the time.
Yeah. It's like, it's lame. There's no reason for her to be there. It's just, I don't see a reason to give her this title outside of, it's just it's for the nostalgia effect. No,
Unless
it's nothing
Brie
that
comes back and some bullshit happens.
Yeah, no. I was like, there's no way Stephanie loses unless it's through shenanigans. Anyways, and then of course, our unofficial fourth co-host here in the chat is going for Stephanie as well. So now let's get into the War Games matches, and we're going to start with the women's. I feel like we already know where we're going, but we have the women's War Games match, and I'm only saying these are the team captains because they're front and center on their respective sides. So we have Team AJ Lee versus Team Becky Lynch. Team AJ Lee is AJ Lee, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Mommy Rhea Ripley, and Oscar the Grouch and veteran of War Games, Io Sky, taking on Team Becky Lynch, which is Becky, the Kabuki Warriors, which is Asuka and Kairi, Nia Jax, who I completely forgot is in this match until I saw this picture. And of course, coming up from NXT in her first official, PLE match after only being here for 2 weeks, Miss Lash Legend. I'm excited for Lash. I think I know where we all stand on this one. We're all picking Team AJ Lee for this one. I was just like, yeah, everybody is going for Team AJ Lee.
Yeah, again, it's obvious. Here's what I would like to see. This start the breakup of the Kabuki Warriors, because they've been teasing that. Like every segment, you see Kairi getting yelled at by Asuka, and it's like, oh, Kairi's gonna snap, and it's gonna be great. And I'm waiting for it. This is gonna be the beginning of that, and then it's just gonna be great from there. I'm excited for this.
I'm excited too. So, moving on to our final, match that we have scheduled until we get another one added. Hopefully, maybe, possibly this week for Raw and SmackDown. But let's get into the men's War Game match. So again, I'm only using them because they're front and center on their respective sides. We have Team Cody Rhodes versus Team Brock Lesnar. On Team Cody Rhodes, it is Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Jimmy, and Jey Uso. Taking on Team Brock Lesnar, which of course is Brock Lesnar, Braun Breaker, Logan Paul, Big Bronson Reed, and the Scottish psychopath himself, Drew McIntyre. And I am going to actually, because again, my booking brain is like scratching an itch right now. As much as I don't like it, I am going to go with the heels. I feel like the heels kind of need to win this one more than Cody and Roman and Punk and the Usos do. But of course, Roman and the Usos tend to have more victories than losses in War Games. But I'm going to go with Team Brock Lesnar on this one, as much as it pains me to say it. I'm going to go to you, Kilt, first. Who you got between Team Cody and Team Brock?
Team Cody. Honestly, because I just want Brock Lesnar and Logan Paul to lose.
Fair.
The psychotic Drew McIntyre, it's kind of overused, but it works, I guess. But that's where I'm at.
Okay. And Minnie, who you got for this one?
Oh, fuck. I think it's Cody's team.
Uh-huh.
But I can see it going either way. The heels, I think, need the win more. But it's a big force. But we know how Hunter's booking is. Mm-hmm. He hits us with surprises every once in a while. I.e., WrestleMania 39, we watched Cody lose.
That was the quietest car ride home.
I don't. I want to say the faces, but the heels could take it, and they need to win a little bit more. Brock doesn't need it, but like everybody else on that team needs a win.
Seriously. And honestly, had he not got hurt, I think Brock. Well, I don't know if Brock would have been put here anyways, but I'm pretty sure this would have been Team Seth instead of Team Brock. I think Seth was meant to be in this match, but then of course he got hurt. But yeah, so of course, our friendo in the chatto has voted for, EO's team to win in the women's War Games, and he's going with Cody's team in the men's War Games. So as of right now, these are the only 4 matches scheduled for Survivor Series. We may get one more depending on Raw and SmackDown this week. Of course, like I said before, I will get to be there live and in person in San Diego. It will be me and Mama Laguillo. who will be there live. It's going to be cold, but we're excited. And then for all of us who are staying at home, Kilt will be running the watch along this Saturday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern to do it all the fun. Of course, our friend Nick and his wife may or may not be popping in during that as well, so it should be a good time. But that is it for our Dual Dynasty review this week. We have a short week leading into the Thanksgiving holiday. Tomorrow evening, Adolfo and I will be here to do a watch along for MLW's Lucha La Dias de las Lucha, which is going to be really, really fun. Tuesday, the AEW crew will be here to review Full Gear. And then Wednesday, of course, is our NXT review for Gold Rush Week 2. And we will be doing our regular CMLL review as well. And then we will be taking Thursday and Friday off to enjoy the holiday with friends and family and also not to have to work over the break. But thank you so much for tuning in from all of us here at BC WrestlePod to you. Remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay biconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will see you tomorrow to begin the 3-day week, 3-day of reviews. But until then, sayonara, adios, and Minnie, as we always like to do here, why don't you tell the good folks at home why we review wrestling?
Because we wanted to.
Exactly. So we will catch y'all later. But until then, peace.